Let's go to Ashley in Manchester. What's up, Ashley? How are you?
Good. How are you, Dr. John?
Good. Things going well?
Yeah. My question for you today is, how do you have this is where babies come from, with a child that has been sexually abused without it being a trigger for them?
Oh, that's a good question. So tell me more.
Okay, so our daughter, she is 8. She was in foster care. We adopted her out of foster care about a year ago. She's been with us for about 3 years. She was sexually abused by her bio dad. So we've come a long way with her. But obviously those questions are going to start coming up.
Sure.
And I guess I'm trying to just get ahead of what that looks like and how to really handle that.
I love it. Couple things. One, thank you for loving the kids in your community. Take them on home. That puts you in rare air, and I'm grateful to have gotten to talk to you today. Just you've made my day better. Just you and your family are incredible. Thank you. How old was she when the abuse happened?
So she was originally put into foster care when she was 5.
Okay. I know you feel this, and this show's not about me. The insta rage that happens when I hear that is profound, right? My daughter's 6, and so I got to stop and catch my breath a little bit. So daughter got put in foster care. Where's dad now?
He is in prison.
Excellent. Way to go, America. All right, so that's just an aside. So the age is important for a couple of reasons, but has she started asking questions yet? Has she started getting into some of this stuff? Like, tell me where she is.
So a little bit, just because my sister is about to have a baby, so it brought up some, I've brought up some questions and like, what's happening?
So it has any of your conversations about quote unquote what's happening about your sister being pregnant, has that sent her into any sort of rage or anger or crying or hiding or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Here's
like, I guess with the conversations we have had, I've more just tried to avoid it.
Okay.
Because I don't know if it's going to be a trigger for her, or I guess we really haven't had like a deep, age-appropriate conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So here, this is, so glad you're calling. This is incredible. I'm so glad you're calling. All right. So what we want to do with her is here's what healing looks like for her. That she can understand that the one man on planet Earth that was supposed to love and take care of her stole from her, took from her, right? We want her to be able to have that understanding and also her body not take off on her, okay?
Right.
And that's the healing journey she's going to be on for a while, right? And that will manifest itself in different ways, and I'm assuming she's in counseling and getting the care and love that she needs.
She was.
Okay.
So we were doing, when she first came to us, we were doing play therapy.
Okay.
Which was great. But then the counselor that she had moved on and was getting a different job.
Okay.
And the way they put it to me was they were graduating her from counseling.
Okay. Hey, that's actually a good thing. Okay. That means a group of professionals looked at your child and said, this kid's incredibly resilient. She's going home to a stable family. And she, at this time, she's able to handle these thoughts and feelings when they come up, right? She's got a plan, right?
Yeah.
So here's what we want to do with her, and with all kids, quite honestly, is we want to teach them that their bodies aren't weird or gross or somebody else's gymnasium. And the way we do that is by norming talk about body parts, about penises and vaginas and how they work and where babies come from and all of those things. And so if you when your kid says, how'd that baby get in there? And your eyes widen real big or your pulse starts racing, you're like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Your kid absorbs. We don't talk about that here.
Okay.
Or how does that baby get out of there? And you instantly turn bright red and you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you have a vagina. It's a special place in your body that the baby's, right? Instead of it being as though we're having a conversation about a sidewalk or about bushes in the front yard, right?
Right.
Anything that deviates from that, kids are incredibly perceptive about what mom will and will not talk about, dad will and will not talk about. So norm body talk, okay? Don't be weird. So I'm saying, like, don't worry about setting off a trigger. If a trigger shows up somewhere, you'll know, right? And then that will be a conversation to circle back with a therapist that says, hey, every time we happen to mention, hey, you need to wipe after you get done going to the bathroom, which is a conversation you have with an 8-year-old, right? When you go by the toilet and they haven't flushed and there's no toilet paper in there, right? Every time we talk about wiping, she smashes the door or she doubles down on the floor and just starts crying. That's going to be a circle back, and that's going to give the therapist some data. Until then, don't let them absorb one thing about how their body is wrong or other. Because that's going to feed into the original violation, which is your body is somehow causes it's your body's fault that there's pain, that daddy's in jail, that you don't feel loved, that you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
This also shows up with your other kids, shows up with your husband, and like just not being weird about talking about body parts. And here's the magic. Here's the other magic. When she's 11, 12, or she's going to ask questions about menstruation and tampons and how does that work and why do you have that, mommy? Just be happy. Just tell her as a matter of fact it is, because it is matter of fact, and we've become so weird about our bodies, right? And there is a book that my friend, I've talked about on the show, Dr. Jennings gave me. I got a picture of it here, and we'll link to it in the show notes. I've got no affiliation with this book. I'm not making any money off this book or anything like that. But it's by Julie Federico, Federico, and the book it's very, very thin. And it's just called Some Parts Are Not for Sharing. And it's about teaching little kids, some parts of your body are for high fives. Other parts covered by bathing suits are for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And generally you say, mom, dad, and doctor, and that's it. In this case, she understands dad's not safe, right?
Right.
So for this season, it might just be mom, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But having just this little book that says, some of these private parts, and then when you talk about, because she might ask you a question about, is that Aunt so-and-so's baby still coming out of Aunt so-and-so's vagina? She might ask you that at church, or she might ask you that in the store, right? And you can say, that's a private part, and we talk about that in private. Or we talk about that, we have that conversation at home, or we have that conversation around the dinner table, right? See what I'm saying? So there's a time and a place, but quite honestly, we're going to let those things happen organically, because an 8-year-old isn't going to understand the quote-unquote. I think the idea of the quote-unquote talk is not good, because kids don't understand we're having a moment, right? They understand, this thing got weird and dad got tense and mom's acting strange and now we're talking about this thing and I don't know much, but I will never bring it up again, right? Versus...
because if you make it weird, then...
Yes. Maybe that's all of my babbling just now. Don't make it weird, right?
Yeah.
And here's where this is hard for parents. Millions and millions and millions and millions of us who are parents didn't understand that our bodies weren't gross or weird or somehow to be hidden or shameful or something until we were well into marriage and we had to go see a therapist to figure that out, right? You might be there, and so you might have to learn a whole new way of talking about your body to yourself and to your husband and vice versa. You see what I'm saying? It can be weird because we've never done it before.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. I threw a lot at you. Tell me what you think. Feel.
No, I think what you said, makes sense. Let it happen organically. And just be very honest and try not to make it weird. And
have you talked to her about what her dad did? Have you all had that conversation?
Yeah, we have, which is kind of hard because, she obviously, she has obviously she knows what he did was wrong and she's mad at him, but then she's also wants to, go see him.
Right.
And, still, it's like I don't know. It's a weird
No,
connection,
and that is the gap that will haunt her for a long, long time, right? Until she's able
Right.
to, her little brain is able to get some distance and space between her feelings and the actual reality of things. Because she's going to start, and if not, she hasn't already, she'll start in the next couple of years beginning to blame herself for her dad being gone. You know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't have said anything. I shouldn't have told. It's my fault that I can't see dad, right? And he might even play into that. Hopefully he doesn't, but he clearly isn't a person of character up front. So it will continue to be part of y'all's conversation. And she will end up back in counseling, just FYI. She'll come back. Puberty will be a whole new thing, right? But as we go there.
Kind of what I was wondering about, because as she gets older, obviously things like this are going to come up and, it brings up more questions. And
so the challenge for her is going to be delineating. She has to have touch moving forward. And the person who's supposed to teach her what safe touch is violated that trust in a tragic, ugly way. So she's going to have to learn that over the alarm system that her body has sounded. Right. And that's just going to be the magic of therapy as she continues to navigate this. And you two, you and your husband, the rest of the family, finding that balance between touch is not an important thing. It's the important thing. It's grounding for our bodies. You have to have it, and somebody use that to hurt you. It's like water, right? You can drown in water. And you can't go more than a few days without it or we die. It's the same thing, right? And so if you almost drown, I want nothing to do with water and everyone, how do you reintroduce that? That's the magic that we're aiming for here. I would rather you err on the side of being completely open with her when she comes to you and norming talk about bodies in your house, then adding another layer of this happened to me and it's just not okay to talk about. Because the person who rescued me, she blushes every time I ask a question about pregnancy. You see what I'm saying? Like, in I'd rather err on the other side. I also don't want you to take your 8-year-old out for pancakes and be like, all right, so we're going to talk about, that's too young. Okay. It's not too young to answer questions. It's too young for the quote unquote big thing. If, when she starts her period, that's going to be a time when y'all go out. I want y'all to celebrate that, have a moment with that, right? Maybe get some other women in her life that you can say, she's safe to call and she's safe to call and she's safe to call. I think that'd be a cool thing, right? And here's what this means. It's a moment. But I don't know that eight's a little bit young to go, all right, here, you know what I mean? To have that talk. I have had that talk with my middle schooler.
Yeah.
And I've talked about sex with my 6-year-old, but when she brings it up.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
In very age appropriate, you know what I mean? In very age appropriate way. And it's not weird or it's not anything in our house. So, hope that helps. Man,
it does.
She's so lucky to have you. She's so lucky to have you, that you're loving her and caring about her in that way. She's been hurt at the deepest possible level, in one of the deepest ways possible, by the person who could hurt her the most. And that pain, that wound will linger for years and years and years and years. And the only way she heals is through relationship, connection, learning what good touch is, learning what safety is, and learning over time how to regulate her body when it takes off on her in situations. It's going to be a tough road to hoe, and that's why you and your family and your husband, y'all are incredible. Y'all are absolutely incredible, and I'm just grateful to know you guys are out there. Everybody, talk about bodies. Just norm it. It's all right.